Sometimes, as sports fans, we look past these types of things. But it raises some questions.
Are sports fans crazy?
Yes.
I think they're just insane.
Are sports fans crazy? Absolutely.
Because they're obsessed.
I think some more than others.
Yes. The answer is yes, because it all boils down to the passion of competition.
As a sports fan myself, I've had my fair share of experiences.
When Lucas was a boy, he once got into a fight over K-State.
But since my Royals and Chiefs won it all, I've had some time to think. Why do we act this way as sports fans? Why are we so connected to these people most of us will never know, in a sport most of us have never played? Why do we care at all? That's what I've decided to look into. My name is Lucas Cook, and I'm going to try to deconstruct team spirit.
But it is a loss for Kansas State.
Well, that hurt. Why'd that hurt?
From a fan's perspective, it hurts because you view yourself as a part of that team. You view yourself as a part of that larger community. And just like with every other event, just psychologically, whenever you have events that occur, whether it be a win or a loss, the first thing that you do is you look towards a community.
This is an example of tribalism, or segmentation of people into particular groups.
I mean, I think that's fairly similar for why fans enjoy winning. A lot of fans just have a deep emotional connection with their team. All those fans have in common is the one singular team, and it's that collective letdown, especially after like a close loss, a painful loss. It's like this nothing out of like hope.
It gets worse when it's someone that you consider to be a rival, even if it's a young rivalry. So that's why every single time we play KU, it's popularized as KU Hate Week in every sport, because that is one community at large against another community. And is it sometimes hateful? Yes, but it's more that us versus them philosophy. But arguably, when it's a new rivalry, like the one that K-State has formed with Iowa State, Farmageddon, that's a rivalry that is established in you and I's lifetime.
Until very recently, Iowa State had nothing to say. And they were kind of a peer school, they were nearby, but it wasn't something that, like, there wasn't a lot of, like, charged hatred to it. A lot of it's because of the internet, honestly. Farmageddon had its genesis, in places like that, on Twitter, with interactions between K-State and Iowa State fans. I think a lot of it's because they're very like-minded fan bases. They come from similar places, they have similar programs, and they're in similar spots, generally speaking. Mm-hmm. It's those similarities that draw them together to end up with such a animosity towards each other.
And this is in every sport, at every single level. You're fighting a lot of times in rivalries for pride.
It almost hurts more to lose than it feels good to win against a rival. Not just because you want to have the pride of victory, but because you want to deprive the other side of having that pride in victory. And neither side wants the other side to feel good about it, but it's domination on both ends. There's a few different types of rivalry. I mean, we can agree that there's sibling rivalry, something that you mentioned, where it's a lot of times it's proximity based. In college especially, it's state schools that just know each other. KU, K-States, your Auburns and Alabamas, your Georgias and Georgia Techs, etc. Your Clemsons and South Carolinas. There's a lot of proximity-based rivalries, but just the pure old-fashioned hate. K-State, KU, they've been playing since the 1800s, I think continuously since like 1900, something like that. Unbelievable amount of consecutive games played against each other. That's a lot of opportunities to dislike each other, a lot of opportunities to be upset with each other. And at the end of the day, you're either going to win or you're going to lose. And when you lose, you have to wait roughly 365 days to get another shot. And, in KU's case, KU's been waiting a long time to get that shot. And it definitely builds resentment, even if it's like difficult to admit. You will have to see those people, every day, and you get reminded of it every single day.
But there's another type of rivalry that I feel is arguably more interesting. He mentioned it briefly. It's the rivalry where two people just absolutely despise each other. It is two teams, two people, two communities that absolutely hate one another. We have the Iron Bowl, you have Auburn and Alabama. Technically, yes, two peer institutions, but arguably the biggest rivalry that people think of in college football. It's literally called the rivalry. They hate each other. They're willing to go after one another because it's always this idea of that community versus my community, and my community is going to be the one that comes out on top. Frankly, being a fan in these types of rivalries is the closest socially acceptable thing that you can get to being a f***ing psychopath.
Okay, let me finish my story.
Okay.
This year I was at the Iron Bowl, and I saw where they put a Scam Newton jersey on Bear Bryant's statue.
Okay, and again, that's 28 years later.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I did. The weekend after the Iron Bowl, I went to Auburn, Alabama, because I live 30 miles away, and I poisoned the two Toomer's trees. I put Spike 80 DL in them.
Did they die?
Never mind.
Okay.
Roll down Tide.
Now, that caller, he called himself Al from Dadeville, talking to longtime radio host Paul Feinbaum.
Well, Brooke, at first I really didn't believe it, or maybe I didn't want to believe it. But as the day went on, we started hearing from arborists and horticulturists who said that maybe he was telling the truth.
So tell me about Toomer's Corner. Did it have any special importance to you as a student athlete?
Toomer's Corner now it's just paramount. That place is just loaded. The kids go down there and they are throwing toilet paper on trees, and it's right in the center of town, really. And with the trees there, those babies, those oaks, I think were, oh my goodness, hundreds of years old. I know that the significance is built since I was there, to the point that when they were poisoned, that was a nightmare. They wouldn't know who did it, and they wanted them prosecuted. As a matter of fact, I was kind of following along on the news at times about it to just kind of see what was taking place.
Sad day for Auburn fans. The oak trees at Toomer's Corner had to be cut down.
Fans got their last glimpse at their towering Southern live oak trees, a staple on Toomer's Corner. For decades, the tradition was to roll the trees with toilet paper after a win.
Of course, of all things, in Alabama.
Yeah.
Harvey Updike is infamous for his role in forever changing Auburn University's Toomer's Corner when he pled guilty to poisoning the oaks with the powerful herbicide in 2011.
The significance really for it, I think was that, it's a celebration site. And that really kind of created a nasty environment between Alabama and Auburn there for, fan base and everything else. That was uncalled for.
Another great intra-state rivalry in the SEC pits Auburn against Alabama in Birmingham before 70,000 fans on a brisk day in late November.
What are fans like at games like the Iron
you'll get some that are, pretty nasty. I mean, they'll berate or whatever the case may be. They are going to cheer. They're going to do everything they possibly can to evoke their team to be as successful as they possibly can. But the one thing I remember that was that they were throwing junk, throwing pop at you or just whatever they had in hand. And so we always had to go on the field, had our helmets on.
Sure,
you don't go in without your helmet. But when you're playing the premier teams of the conference, and definitely rivalries, there is a zealousness of excitement. It was heated. I have to say heated. I mean, there was a tenseness with the fans in the sense that they want their team winning. It's almost like a war. In the sense of the noise and the ferocity of how they're wanting their team to win. But, for your own team, it was great because they're cheering you on and man, they're getting you fired up. And these little kids, can I have your chin strap? Can I have this? I tore mine off, threw it up to this little devil because I knew it was my last game. It's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger in all respects. In the athletic domain, in the town itself, traditions. It's just kind of gotten larger.
Sure. Would you say that maybe fan participation in that department has also maybe grown a little bit since then?
Exploded. Yes. Yeah, no question. I think they started televising, when we were playing. But the fan base is just it's gone bonkers. I mean, you'll have people, if you can't get seats, they'll stand in the walkways. Oh yeah. It's hard to get tickets for Alabama Auburn game.
So what is it about Auburn fans that sticks out to you? How special are they?
Yeah, they are a special group of people. I think the kids, the campus, football has been a perennial thing for the school. Football is kind of the premier, almost like a religion down there in the South. And the South has always been kind of community-oriented, kind of an ownership of, that's our school, we're going to be proud of it. And the attitude of the kids, the enthusiasm they have, it's that home environment that just is, it's excitable. I mean, you run on that field, and you can't hardly even hear yourself think. And you got goosebumps running down your leg and your neck and your arms, and I mean, it's like you can almost take anything on because you got all these people behind you, man.
Sure. And
they're screaming, yelling. And back in those days, I want to say we had about maybe 60 to 70,000 capacity. And so now it's just has exploded in the sense of this energy. I mean, it's just energy. And the first thing starts it off when that daggum eagle starts flying out of the rafters when it's football time. That's the premier thing. The town shuts down. I mean, everybody's engaged, especially when you're playing your rivals.
Sure.
Alabama, Georgia, those are big ones for us. And LSU, I think that made it special. They're a special group of people down there. Yeah, pretty special. Pretty special.
Not all fan experiences are positive. Some can be very negative. This is Steve Bartman. In 2003, he was a young man who'd been a Cubs fan his entire life.
The Cubs were just 5 outs from getting to the World Series, but collapsed. Bartman vilified.
The negative energy in and around that park found an outlet onto him in a way that you really wouldn't wish on anyone.
Fans blame Bartman for the loss.
Many thought he interfered with the game and doomed the Cubs' World Series chances.
Bartman, all he did was stick his arms out, so it's crazy the abuse he's gotten for these last 14 years.
10 years later, though, the story flipped.
The Cubs are hoping this helps turn the page, a World Series ring engraved with Bartman's name. In describing the gesture, the Cubs said, "We felt it was important. Steve knows he has been and continues to be fully embraced by this organization."
I'm sorry, Steve Bartman.
God bless him. I think it's a wonderful thing.
It shows a forgiveness.
Most fans hope so too.
He wasn't forgiven because he didn't need to be forgiven. He had nothing to apologize for. But Cubs fans would not let a few crazed, angry people overshadow their group as a whole. Those fans at the game are often called a loud minority. And really, they are. But these guys are the loud majority, known as Bill's Mafia. You can see why. They're crazy, violent, and drunk at every game, and they like it that way. But that's not all they are. These donations were all made because of a shared identity, Bill's Mafia. Those crazy, couch-burning, table-smashing, hypothermic maniacs, all donating to children's hospitals and oculatory surgeons. All for sports. All from sports fans. Wholesome tribalism. And they aren't alone. Following their lead and love for their team, fan bases across sports began donating money to all sorts of causes. These fans care a lot, and act through the guise of a single, overarching identity. In this case, for good. But why is this group identity so important? And why do some sports fans feel so connected to their teams? So then, why do fans feel this way? There are lots of examples, but let's take a look at what an expert thinks. Following the Bengals' Super Bowl loss to the Rams in February 2022, NPR's Ailsa Chang sat down with therapist and 49ers fan Greg Miller. Miller describes how his anguish over the 49ers' Super Bowl loss to the Ravens quickly revealed itself to be actual legitimate grief. When his wife asked him if he was okay, he responded that no, he really wasn't okay. Pain and loss and joy at victory from fans is apparently super common. Depression at losing is just a concept of grief, per Miller, just like every other form of loss people endure, like that of a job, or even that of a loved one. But mostly, it's the return on investment put into something that was meaningful. Just like how winning a lot can make fans complacent and cocky, losing can do the opposite, forcing fans to wear it like a badge of dishonor. Oh, hey guys. Miller notes again that these connections are identity-based. They're a part of these people, an extension of who they are. While there are healthy ways to endure a team's loss, just like there are healthy ways to endure a loss of any other kind, some may take it hard. That can continue to develop just like any other form of depression. And it has to be solved that way, if it gets that bad. Treat it like real depression or sadness, because that's exactly what it is. That loss was hard. Have to move on somehow. Thanks, NPR. When I started this search, I thought I was looking for why we loved things. I thought that I was going to find out the reason why thousands of us would spend anywhere from $2 to $2,000 just to watch a group of men or women run around and throw a ball for an hour. I thought I was looking for nameless, faceless ideologues, focusing purely on the reaction between where people are born and what colors they wear on weekends and what obscenities they scream at television sets and when. But I didn't find that. Instead, I found people, oftentimes tortured, rarely content, always loyal to who they are. I had hoped for t-shirts and instead found identity politics. I was asking, why do we love, when I should have been asking, who are we? I guess the answer has been right in front of us this entire time. It's much the same reason we vote along party lines, why there are still fights about the console wars years later. We love our sports teams because they're an unwilling or unknowing extension of who we are. We clash with others like us sometimes just because they aren't us. Maybe sports fans are crazy.
Our test is in the stands!
But they're a type of crazy that's been normalized and looked over for hundreds upon thousands of years, and it's a lot more normal than we even realized. And we haven't even bothered to consider whether or not it was crazy in the first place. So let's attempt to answer the question, finally. Why do we love our sports teams?
I've never done that before.